In this video, I want to demonstrate how to delete and update records in a table. Now, before I do that, I'm using my bookstore database. I am going to make a copy of my customers table so that I don't have to mess up the data while I demonstrate these two concepts. Right? I'll still have an original copy of my customers, and we'll practice delete and update on a copy of that. So these are going to be the two commands I use to create a new table. This will create the structure. The insert into will take all the records from the original table and put it into my new one. So I'll run that, and it's successful. So just as review, there's basically three things we can do with records. We can add them brand new, I can delete them to get rid of them, and I can update them. So to add a brand new record is obviously insert into, customers to. I'm only going to populate a few fields, and then the values I've put here. The customer number is an integer data type, so I will put that here, not in quotes because it's a number. Everything else is in quotes because they're strings of varchar data type. So when I run that, I've now added a new person into the database. And just for fun, I'm going to select all my customers that are from New Jersey. And this is out of my new table, customers to. So recognize I have 3 people from New Jersey, including the one I just added. So now, how do I delete all my customers from New Jersey? So to remove data from a table, what you're looking for is the delete command. I'll make that capital just to emphasize it's a keyword. So we're going to delete from, and you name the table. So we're going to delete from customers to. Now we're going to have a where clause, where the state equal New Jersey. Now I'm going to run this just to demonstrate there's going to be a hiccup that we have to fix before this will work. So I will run it. It's not going to work. I get an error down here. You can barely see it, but basically you are using safe update mode and you tried to update a table without a primary key. So what that means, MySQL, when you first install it, is set up such that they don't want you to delete records accidentally. Like, you don't know what you're doing, and when you say delete where the state equals New Jersey, you could delete a lot of records and not know that's what you're about to do. They will let you delete something where you, in the where clause, put the primary key. So for instance, I could say where customer number equal 1021 because that's a primary key. This will work. Remember, the whole idea of a primary key is it's unique to every record. So by doing this, I'm only deleting one customer. Where up in this where clause, how many customers are you deleting that are from the state of New Jersey? It could be a lot. And so the MySQL is set up such that you have to put the primary key in the where clause as long as safe updates are on. Okay, so this command will work. I'll run it. And if we run down to the output table, you can see that I deleted the new customer I entered with the primary key of 1021. Okay. I'll clear my output table here. We'll move it down. So how do we turn that safe update feature off? Because I actually do want to run this command where the state equals New Jersey. So there's a couple ways to do it. There's a command for it where I can set SQL safe updates equal to 0. 1 is turning it on, 0 is turning it off. The other way is there's an edit preference in your SQL editor. So if I run to edit preferences, and then I go to the SQL editor here on the left, at the very bottom is safe updates. Forbid updates and deletes with no key in the where clause or no limit clause, requires a reconnection. So if I were to click this, I'd have to go back out and reconnect. So I'm not going to click that. I'll hit OK. What I'm going to do is set this to set SQL updates equal to 0. By running that, I'm now allowing myself to run delete statements and update statements, and the where clause can have anything in it. It doesn't just have to be a primary key. So now let's run down here, and we're going to say delete from customers to where state equal New Jersey. As a general rule, I always put my where clause in a select statement before I run my delete clause. And the reason is because then I can select and see for myself by looking at the output what's actually going to be deleted. So I've just selected it. I can see that I have 2 people left from New Jersey, and as long as I'm comfortable with deleting those 2, then I'm going to be comfortable running my delete clause with the exact same where statement. So now I'm good. I'm going to run that, and in my output table I can see that I deleted both customers, 2 rows affected from New Jersey. So as a safe precaution, take the where clause that you're going to use in your delete statement and stick it in a select statement first, just to verify that you're getting the records back that you want to delete, and then put it down in your delete statement and run it from there. Do I have to have a where clause in my delete statement? And the answer is actually no. And guess what happens? If I just say delete from customers 2 and I have no where clause, you get no warnings and no error messages, particularly or only if you set SQL Safe Updates to 0. If that's on 0, then you run this command, it basically 18 rows affected, right? I deleted everything. So my table still exists, but there's nothing in it. I've deleted every record. So be careful. You, for the most part, always need a where clause with your delete statement, or else you're going to delete every record. Now, of course, having said that, that's only true if SQL Safe Updates is set to 0, or under Edit Preferences you've turned off the Safe Updates. Then it'll allow you to delete all your records in one statement. So I've inserted records, I've deleted records. What if I want to change the information that's in a table? I need to repopulate my customers too, because I've deleted everybody. So I'll run up and just re-execute the command, or execute the command of my insert into customers 2. I'm going to select everything from customers. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. We're good. I'm going to clear my output window. So I've got data again back in customers 2. So now let's say we get a phone call from Bonita Morales. She's got married. She changed her last name to Smith. Okay. So I want to change just this column, and I want to go, it was Morales, I'm going to change it to Smith. So here's the command. You'd have an update, and you list the table, update customers 2. We're going to set, this is the column where the data is going to be changed. So we're going to set the last name column equal to Smith, where last name equal Morales. Now the same rule here as in the delete command. I should probably run this where clause in a select statement first, because what if there's more than one Morales? So to be honest with you, we should probably do this based on primary key, so we're only changing one person. But I'm going to go ahead and control copy here, and let's just double check that we only have one Morales. And I look at my output, I do only have one, so that where clause is okay. Update will have the same issue with the SQL Safe Update problem. If it's not set to 0, you can't do an update without using a primary key in the where clause. But because I had already previously run the SQL Safe Update equals 0, this will run for me. So the where clause is going to determine what records am I going to change the column last name equal to Smith. So in this case, there's only one record. So I can go ahead and run that command. And now if I select just all of the records, you'll see Bonita's last name is now Smith. So let's do another example. What if a customer moved? So they call up your customer service rep and say, I've moved, I need to change my address in your database. Okay, so we're going to set 3 columns. They moved to 123 Main, their city is now Bend, the zip is 97702, where customer num equal 1001. So this time I am going to use the primary key, all right, but I'm changing 3 columns. You separate them with a comma. So there's a comma up here, there's a comma right here, and then here's my 3rd column. So you can change more than one column with an update statement. And in this case, I know for a fact I'm only changing 1 record, but I'm going to change 3 fields in that 1 record. So if I run this, execute, I will now, this was on customer num 1001, which I happen to know is also Bonita. I'll execute that. We'll lift up here. So it's Bonita Smith because we ran that previous update statement. But now 123 Main, Bend, still in Florida, 97702. So I've changed the address, the city, and the zip with one update statement. Doing one more example. What if, for some reason, I want to change the region code? So just to take a look at our data, let me select star from customers. Move this up. Notice I have a region field, and people from New Jersey and New York, the region code is NE, which obviously makes sense. Okay, but for whatever reason, I want to change the region code to NNE. All right, so in my where clause, I only want to do this for people from these two states, New York and New Jersey. So of course, that's going to be an or clause because a state can't be both New Jersey and New York. But I want to change the region code for everybody from New Jersey, everybody from New York. So again, as a safety precaution, I should probably run this into a select statement to make sure my where clause is returning the records that I think it's returning, right? And the point of this exercise is recognize your where clause can be as sophisticated as needs to be, right? We got between, and, or, like, in, all of the operators that we can use. This where clause doesn't have to be a simple thing. It can be really quite complicated. So by running it in my select first, I see that I get New York, New Jersey, New Jersey. I'm going to update that region code now. I'm like, okay, yep, those are the records I want to fix. The where clause is working appropriately. So now when I run that, I'm going to update. Oh, well, actually it doesn't update because I have an error. So let's take a look at the error. It says error code 1406, data too long for column region. Uh-oh, sounds like a data type issue. So let me run this information panel up where you can see it. Notice for the customers table, the region is a char 2. Oops, I'm trying to stick 3 characters in the field that's char 2. This would be a good example of where I would maybe have to use a alter command to change the region to a 3-character data type. And then this would run. So I just typed the command alter table customers 2, modify column. We'll make it a char 3. So I'm going to clear my window here. We'll move this up. Let's run that command. I've changed that to a 3, and so now my update should work just fine. Let's try it. We'll execute that. The update worked fine. Let's just go take a look at our select statement and verify that things are happening as we think they are. So I have 3 records, New York, New Jersey, New Jersey, and they all have a 3-character region code. Let's do a couple more examples of the update command. Let's say I want to have everybody's first and last initial, for whatever reason, in their own column. So I want a column called initials. All right, so I'm going to alter my table, customers 2. I'm going to add a column called initials. And it's a 2-character column because I'm just putting in first and last initial off their name. So I execute that. It runs fine. I'm going to clear my output table. So now you can run the update without a where clause. Same as with the delete statement. But be careful because without a where clause, you're updating every record. And in this case, it might be appropriate. I've added a brand new column. I now want to populate that column with everybody's initials. Okay, so here's my statement. I'm going to update customers 2. I'm going to set that column, set initials, equal to. So I'm using a string function, substring. I'm grabbing their first name. They're starting at the first character for 1 character of length. And I'm using substring, grabbing the last name, starting with the first character for 1 character of length. So that's grabbing. If we had Bonita Morales, this would be grabbing the B off her first name and the M off her last name. And now I'm going to concatenate those 2 strings together. So I'm using concat. Here's the first string, comma, the second string of the concat function. I'm leaving off the where clause. Without the where clause, this is going to do it for everybody. So let's run these commands. I can't remember if I ran my alter statement, so we'll go ahead and run it. Oh, it's already there, so I did run that. So now we're going to run our update. I'll hit execute. That worked. Let's run up and grab our select statement. Here it is. So now every customer, I have an initial column if I scoot over here, and now I've got their first and last initial in that initial column for every record. Because I left off the where clause, I'm updating every record. So you can run an update without a where clause, but just be aware you're updating every record. So in my last example, I'm going to create a duplicate of my books table. So I'm creating the structure, I'm inserting all of the records from the original books into my new books table. So I'll execute both of those. And what I want to do is this publisher, publisher number 2, asked us to raise the price of all of our computer books by 10% and reduce the cost by $1. Okay, so just to see what records that amounts to, I'm going to find all the books that are computer that come from that publisher. So when I execute that, it's just this one book. I want to reduce the cost to $36.90 and we're going to raise the retail price by 10%. So that's changing data, an existing record, so obviously an update statement. So I'm going to update my new table, books 2. I'm going to set retail equal to retail times 1.1, which is how to increase a number by 10%. I'm reducing the cost minus 1, so minus $1. And my where clause is looking for those records, this publisher, that category of books. Since I already ran my select statement, I know what records I'm looking at, and so now I can update it. I will hit execute. So remember, it was $37.90, $54.50. So after I execute it, it worked. When I go to my select clause again, now we're at $36.90 and $59.95. So you can obviously do mathematical calculations in your set using the existing column, updating the price, and putting the information back into the same column. And I did the same with the cost. Take the existing cost, subtract $1, and put that information back into the same column. That's it for this video, real quick. Basically, there's 3 things you can do to a record. You can insert a new record. We've already covered that. You can delete a record, delete from, list the table, and then a where clause. And then you can update a record. So update the table. You're going to set a column equal to a new value, and again a where clause. Don't forget, both in delete and update, you don't need the where clause, but it gets a little scary. In the case of delete, you're going to delete every record. In the case of update, you're going to update every record if you don't have a where clause. Then one last point, don't forget, in order to make these things work, you may have to set SQL updates equal to 0, particularly if you're not using the primary key in the where clause. If you use the primary key in the where clause, well, then you don't have to worry about this. But then, of course, you're only changing one record at a time because by definition, a primary key represents one record.